If you watched Christopher Nolan's movies, you will find out the storyline is a bit complicated. It means the timeline and the connection of the events that are happening in the movies are very confusing. But there is a connection. And in many cases, it happened to me that the movie finished and then I realized all the things I have watched before was something else. Then I have to watch it again. And the interesting thing is, the meaning changes. When I watch the movie again, after completing the movie, the whole movie changes. That's the feeling I get when I listen to the professor, Dr. Muhammad Yunus. If you don't have time to watch his full speech of Victory Day, then you can go to the Facebook page of Chief Adviser and you can find all the important photo cards of the speech and you will get a gist of the speech and it might help you to think about the future of the country. So let's discuss my thought about the speech of Dr. Muhammad Yunus on Victory Day. At the very beginning of the speech, Dr. Muhammad Yunus denounced the fallen autocrat. Dr. Muhammad Yunus titled this autocrat as hated, and he mentioned this autocrat was promised to leave nothing good for this country. So he expressed that he is unhappy with that fallen autocrat government. That's quite understandable. After that, Dr. Yunus talked about the propaganda which are being made against our country nationally and internationally. So he urges everybody to raise their voice against this propaganda. Dr. Muhammad Yunus emphasized on EU representatives' tour in Bangladesh in his speech. He stated that he requested EU to open their embassies and high commissions in Bangladesh. We know many Bangladeshi students visit Europe for study and other purposes too. So not having those embassies in our country is quite an inconvenience for this countrymen. This is quite an important call from Dr. Muhammad Yunus, and we have already came to know that some of the embassies are being established in Bangladesh in immediate future, and actually some of the countries are accelerating their work in Bangladesh to provide service from this land. Thumbs up. The professor covered the money laundering, money trafficking, smuggling and all the stealing issues in this country. If the mismanagement, the loot and the stealing was prevented, Dr. Yunus said, we could increase the educational budget to 2 times and we could multiply the health budget 3 times. So the frustration of why is real. Chief Advisor also talked about the enforced disappearance events. The report of the commission has provided to Chief Advisor about the enforced disappearance events, and the professor warned all of us before putting our eyes on enforced disappearance reports. So, okay, that sounds quite threatening already. And then the professor talked about the most important and highlighted part of the speech, which is election. The professor expects close to 100% votes from young voters. He emphasized a lot about the voting right of young people, and I think he made some great points. He said, if the youth decides to vote their own representative, then who will stop them? If all the people or all the youth of this country, at least very close to all the youths, go to vote center and cast their vote, then who are the people who will stop them? So he made a very strong suggestion, and he also talked about the tentative time of election. Next national election I meant. The national election supposed to be held in end of 2025 or in the middle of or in the first half of 2026. When I heard it, I felt a bit heartbroken. I think it's a very short time for Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus to be in the decisive chair of the country, and I think this nation, this country deserves, or I think needs, much more time from Dr. Muhammad Yunus, because the intentions he is showing, the promises he is making, these make we the people of Bangladesh hopeful, because he is a very powerful global leader and he is a very respected and very much appreciated among all the global figures in the world. So his reign should be much more than 2 years, I guess. And actually it's not even 2 years if you consider. All the people are talking about elections, I know. These people won't even bat an eye if the last fallen autocrat was in power till 2029. But I think end of 25 or middle of 26 for the election is too close. But here is a twist. The professor talked about an unity commission, and he will chair this commission. Dr. Aliriaz, another very intellectual and pragmatic guy, will co-chair with Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus. So this commission will do something good, I strongly believe. The initial members of this commission will be the head of the 6 commissions, which were made by the government in the very beginning. So you can consider it's a 7-member commission in the very beginning with Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus. And there will be also options to add more members. So that's a good move. My view on this commission is Professor Yunus is trying to sit with all the national leaders in various sectors. I mean, not only the political leaders, maybe the leader in educational system or educational sector, maybe the leader in industrial sector, maybe some leaders of financial sector. So in my thought, it's sort of a high table where all the leaders will sit together and decide the fate of next election, maybe, or maybe they will work on national important decisions. And when someone sits with Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus at that table, you cannot displease him. And after talking about this high table, Professor Dr. Yunus talked about another high table, the ICC, International Criminal Court. Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus talked about Karim Khan, who is the chief prosecutor of ICC right now, and he is a very close connected guy with Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus. Of course. Mr. Karim Khan will train the prosecutors of the ICT that working in Bangladesh, and the training might expand to the working personnel who are working with ICT of Bangladesh. So this is a very good initiative indeed, and the standard of our ICT will go up expectedly. Moreover, Professor Yunus also said the government will file case against the last July-August mass killing in ICC. So this is a very strong initiative from the government against the last atrocities, and I really appreciated it. It should be done. And then the professor talked about the women who were a very vital part of the uprising. He expressed his gratitude and his salutation to all the students of school, college, universities, all the professional women who are working in various sectors of the country, all the teachers who raised their voice against all the oppressions and tortures of previous fallen dictator, women of all the age, all the societies, all the class, women from all the sphere of life played a very, very effective role in this uprising, and the professor could not appreciate them more. So the women were very much dignified in professor's speech. Moreover, he announced that the women decided to make a gathering nationwide on 10th December. They will gather in their own locality, own space, no problem, but they will meet once a year and it will express their unity, power, and it will be a place to raise their voice maybe. So I think I like this announcement, and this is a very good initiative. All the days for women just went to vain in this country, so let's make something of our own. And in the concluding words, he said that he is dreaming for a country where women won't be threatened by men, poor won't be threatened by rich, minority won't be threatened by majority. So there will be a safe country for all of us. We want that too. It's always a pleasure to hear Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus, and this speech was very, very inspiring and very promising too. And I think we all should cooperate him, and we should believe in him, and we should not mess with him, because I think it's a very good idea to use a man like Professor Dr. Muhammad Yunus, who have some powerful friends and whose friends can decide the fate of many things in this world. Dr. Muhammad Yunus is a very capable guy. If Bangladesh can utilize his capabilities and use his all the influences and power, we as a country can be benefited.